And the only way I know to remove fear, and that is the major cause of failure in the automobile business as a retail salesperson, fear of rejection, fear you won't have the answer. The best way I know to remove fear is with luck, L-U-C-K. If you don't think successful people are lucky, ask any failure. He'll tell you. He's just lucky. Luck is identified labor under correct knowledge.
Well, can I get it with the 5-speed manual transmission and the V6 engine?
Do you have one with maroon trim?
I'll need a performance axle. What can you recommend?
What's the maximum payload of that S10 pickup?
Easy questions for one who knows product. Not so easy for one who doesn't. This is where using your dealership sales training support pays off. Two of the most comprehensive and complete sources of information, features, and specifications are the Passenger Car Value Guide and the Truck Facts Book. These two volumes arrive every model year prior to announcement. You should receive a copy of each, and you should immediately begin to familiarize yourself with their contents. Take the Passenger Car Value Guide. Everything you need to know about Chevrolet passenger cars is right here at your fingertips. Model lineup, equipment summary, standard features, special equipment packages, interiors, optional features, power teams, dimensions, specifications, and service intervals. In the back of the book, hard facts and information comparing Chevrolets with their competition in roominess, fuel economy, price, and quality. Your other source of information is the Truck Facts Book. It combines the technical data of the Truck Data Book with the selling features and values of the sales album. I would suggest that you review both of these books as soon as you receive them so that you know where everything is and you don't have to fumble around in front of your customer searching for the answer you want. The two books have a dual purpose. Not only do they provide you with the information you need about Chevrolet products, they can also be your guide to laying out an effective 7-point passenger car walk-around and a 5-position truck walk-around. Make the Chevrolet Passenger Car Value Guide and the Chevrolet Truck Facts Book your own. Read them, digest them, use them for instant, reliable answers to customer questions. One of the most versatile sales supports in your dealership is the Video Center and the video discs that are released throughout the year. Using the Video Center for your own self-study and review of product discs and sales training material, such as you're doing right now, is one of the best ways to give yourself an edge in today's competitive market. A second or even a third viewing of a disc or disc segment will reinforce the material and give you a firmer grasp of techniques or product features. The Video Center can also be an integral and natural step in your selling presentations to prospects. According to Human Learning and Retention by Carl Hovland, people remember only 10% of what they hear, but 65% of what they see and hear. The Video Center allows you to give your customers both sight and sound in a format that strengthens your sales presentation and adds impact to your product story. With the Video Center, you have the flexibility you need to custom tailor each presentation to each individual customer. Its specialized controls include instant access to any part of any disc, fast, slow, and step-by-step motion, forward and reverse, and dual language capability. There are several sales situations that present an opportunity to use the Video Center as an effective sales tool. For example, to present and explain under-the-skin and technical features such as robot welding and painting processes, or to demonstrate hard-to-visualize features such as work capacity for trucks or cargo capacity for cars. Other opportunities include presenting a model that may not be in stock or on the showroom floor, showing a prospect what is available in the Chevrolet lineup of cars and trucks, or highlighting features and benefits that particularly interest a prospect. Let's hear now what our panel of experts has to contribute about using dealership training supports. Let's talk about using dealership sales training supports. Clint, what can you say overall about the necessity for a salesperson to improve his product knowledge?
Well, you know, in September of each year, the manufacturer produces product knowledge training material. in the form of booklets, film, and what have you. The salespeople get real excited about the new product. We call it our Christmas. You get real excited about the new product because they've learned something that nobody else knows, and they like to tell it. That's one of the reasons that grosses are so good in November or October when the model first comes out. And then by January, the average salesperson thinks that the public knows all about this product, so I don't have to tell it anymore. So they stop using their product knowledge, and when they stop using that, they stop making feature presentations. And then before you know it, they stop making demonstration rides, and they start taking shortcuts. So it is my opinion that a salesperson should go through the same product knowledge every quarter of the year. They need to look at that product knowledge film or brochures or whatever at least 4 times a year, and they should also take the same quiz that they took 30 days before the model came out. That needs to be done 4 times a year to stay up on the product, because you'll have a tendency to forget it.
Jackie?
If I could comment on the product knowledge as far as the confidence that a consumer definitely wants to find in the salesperson. Confidence, there's no substitute for it. And the only way I know to remove fear, and that is the major cause of failure in the automobile business as a retail salesperson, fear of rejection, fear you won't have the answer. The best way I know to remove fear is with luck, L-U-C-K. If you don't think successful people are lucky, ask any failure. He'll tell you. He's just lucky. Luck is identified labor under correct knowledge. Now, if you labor under correct knowledge, you've got confidence. You can gain that trust and confidence from the consumer, again, by transmitting through telepathy, that sense or feeling that you transmit by means other than normal senses. It comes from confidence, product knowledge. A line that I like to share at this time for the audience is progress is made through proper training. And I think it's discipline. As Clint said, at least 4 times a year. I do a lot of recording myself personally on a cassette tape recorder. I'll make a presentation around an automobile to myself on a cassette tape recorder. Then I'll sit down and listen to what I have just said. And I'm aware then why I did not gain that sale. Unless that salesperson has knowledge, product knowledge, to substantiate his claim, he's not going to be successful. There's some big money earned in the automobile business. And I'd like to, at this time, say the product knowledge, I would definitely say contributes better than $50,000 a year personally to my own income. All because of that product knowledge. To exceed $100,000 a year is discipline. Many automobile salespeople in America today exceed $100,000 a year. And you might ask the question to the audience, how much does the Vice President of the United States earn per year, legally? You'll find he earns somewhere around $92,000. Here I am, an automobile salesman, selling something I don't own. And I was told when I was a kid, if you sell something you don't own, they'll put you in jail. I believed that until I met an automobile dealer. I can sell something I don't own and earn more than the Vice President of the United States. Today, selling's where it's at. The automobile industry has never been greater.
Tex?
Well, I am going to borrow some money from Jackie immediately after that. But, I'm a firm believer that, and I learned this from a guy named Clint McGhee about 12 years ago. Knowledge instills confidence. When you know to do something, how to do something, you'll do it, and you'll do it with confidence. Now, knowledge instills confidence. Confidence instills enthusiasm. Enthusiasm sells cars in volume and at a desirable gross profit. But I'm a firm believer that success is when preparation meets opportunity. And that's the way a salesman should look at it. When he takes the assumption that he's learned all he knows about this business and all he needs to know about his product, he's dead. He's got this disease, hardening of the attitudes, and that'll kill him. Enthusiasm, it shows as an outward expression of an inward emotion. If a person knows his product, it's going to show. And I compliment our manufacturer, Chevrolet, for the finest preparation and the finest materials of any of the divisions that I've ever represented. And I commend them for it. But if the salesmen don't take advantage of it, if they don't do what Clint and Jack said, we're in great big trouble.
How important is it, Ernie, for the salesperson to have all the answers about the product?
You don't have to have all the answers, but know where to get it. Let me tell you, humbleness and humility is the greatest closing tool in the world. How many times I've actually told a customer, they'd bring up something I didn't know. And I say, hey, you know what? It's the first time I've ever been asked that, and I got to be real honest, I don't know, but I'll tell you what. Go get that data book out, or go to the film. Let's look it up together. The customer, that's believability. But if you try to give somebody an answer and they catch you in one little gray area of doubt or fear, you've just exploded your profile with them and your image, and you're going to lose control of the sale altogether. They won't believe anything that you tell them.
Jackie?
One of the national recognized trainers uses a cliche, a statement. He says, you know, selling is 98% people knowledge and 2% product knowledge. Well, I take issue with him on
Amen.
that. He's a personal friend of mine, and I use the analogy, you can stand all day long in a phone booth with 9 cents in your pocket. You're not going to call anybody. It's the same thing with product knowledge. You better have that product knowledge because that conveys your confidence, and that's what the consumer is looking for, someone he can have confidence and trust in. I use the cliche that people buy on feelings. Those feelings are generated by the salesperson having confidence in what he's doing. If I'm taking a trip and I've never been down the road, I may drive very cautiously. But if I've been down that road many times, I can enjoy that drive. Now put that consumer in the car with me on the same trip.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what he's doing. He's fixing to take a trip, Clint, down the road to a sale. Therefore, I better have the confidence. And again, it's discipline.
Let me add one other thing. We have been talking here mainly directing our remarks toward new. I feel sure there are some used car people watching this.
Mm-hmm.
We could take that product knowledge that we have and we save those film. Why couldn't we let the used car salespeople view 1, 2, or 3-year-old product knowledge film on the cars when they come back in on the used car lot? It's just as important for a used car person to know the product as it is for a new car person to know the product.
Clint, I had a gentleman come in our used car operation the other day, and we happened to have a 77 Caprice Chevrolet. Most of you viewing the films would recall that was the car of the year. The 77 Chevrolet had in the glove box the information pertaining to that being the car of the year, 77 model. And what sold the car was the fact when he found that, he said, oh, I didn't know that this was the car of the year in 1977. And that information was still there. Now, I relate it to the consumer's need for feeling he's, quote, got a good deal. That salesperson can make it a good deal by confidence. If that particular brochure had not been in that glove box, I really doubt if we'd have got that sale. So therefore, you can take that training material and keep it. Transfer it over to the used car department. And I feel that the used car salesperson sometimes is neglected. I happen to believe that's the most important department in a dealership, is the used car department. If you can sell the used cars, you can move the new cars. And it takes a lot of talent, a lot of trust and confidence on the consumer's part to purchase a used car, much more than it does to buy a new Chevrolet, backed by General Motors, backed by the Chevrolet division, backed in writing by a warranty. He may not have all that in a used car, so he buys the trust and confidence that he finds in the salesperson.
Jack, just a second. When you, let's take a truck. Your question to me a moment ago was, does increased confidence influence my inclination to buy?
Mm-hmm.
I think the truck salesman has proven that.
Yeah.
The truck salesman doesn't know everything about all the options, but what does he do? He goes to his data book and he finds the best truck for as little money as possible that'll do the job that's needed and not overpower the truck, but make sure he doesn't underpower the truck. He's looking for GVW. He's looking for a load weight. He's looking for the things that will make the owner happy with the product. And I don't know why the automobile salesman doesn't realize the importance of using those materials. It does not, I'm sure if I owned a big trucking company, we'll say, and I needed to buy some trucks, and that truck salesman came to me, and he says, I know exactly what you want, I'll just build you some trucks. I believe I would think a long time before I let him build me some trucks. But when he gets his charts and his materials and his selling aids out, his point of sale information, that doesn't show a sign of weakness. Hey, That's a sign of empathy for the customer, showing the customer that he knows how to do these things.
Let's discuss the value of this Chevrolet Performance System Selling Skills Library. We all know there's no substitute for on-the-job experience, but how best would you recommend a new or even an experienced salesperson to use the library materials? Clint?
You know, let's back up one time. How long does a salesperson stay on a showroom floor in a given day? Somewhere between 8 and 12 hours. Even if they sell, well, the average salesperson in the United States sells about 9 units a month. Okay, what is that? That's a unit about every third working day or every other working day. What in the world are they doing with that other time? Now, if there was anything that I might have to look at 2 hours of film to get one idea, but if it gave me one idea that helped me sell one more car or truck, it was worth my idle time that I wasted in that dealership. A new salesperson will come in our industry, and the first month or two, they'll lead the sales team. 3 months later, they're on the bottom of the sales team. And what happens to them, I guess they get the big hit or whatever, they stop doing the good things they learned to do, and about that time is when they need to be put back in a dark room and look at that training package again. And they can come right back up to the top again because they'll find out the things that they have been skipping.
Jackie, can you wrap up quickly for us the use of sales training supports?
I've got to make a commitment to excellence. If I make that commitment, I've got to eliminate all the other options. To me, that is the definition of the word commitment. It's when you eliminate all the other options. Now, if I make that commitment to excellence, how am I going to obtain that without the use of the materials provided by the Chevrolet Motor Division in the material like we've discussed here today? There's no way I can obtain it. I think it starts when a salesperson makes a personal commitment. I will be the best. And when he becomes the best, it'll be because of the information he's received through programs such as being provided by the Chevrolet Motor Division. And with that type of material, his sales will always be there. The confidence is there. The trust is there. He's doing the right things. For many years, I've heard salespeople are lazy. That's the biggest lie that's ever been told. No one can work 60 and 70 hours a week and be called lazy. They're doing the wrong things in the wrong manner. That is the responsibility of management to see that salespeople are properly trained.
Whether you're just starting out or have been selling cars and trucks for many years, the information and material provided by the Chevrolet Motor Division can help you increase your closing ratios and make you more money, as suggested by Jackie Cooper, Tex Pritchard, and Clint McGhee. Make use of these excellent selling resources at every opportunity. The Chevrolet Performance System, based on research and input from leading automotive sales authorities, developed standards of professionalism for dealers, sales managers, service managers, and salespeople. These are the standards for retail salespeople. The 10 standards outlined here are the basis for the Selling Skills Library, which you are now studying. Number 1. The salesperson conducts business in a trustworthy and ethical manner.
You're not at a loss for words, but I tell you, I wish we could take the word deal out of our vocabulary.
Yes.
Come in, I want to make you a good deal. People are not that gullible, and I think it's real schlocky myself. Sometimes I meet salespeople, I think they've slept the night before with a coat hanger in their mouth, you know, all teeth, you know, and that day is over.
Yeah.
That day is over. That reputation is exactly what we've got. Well, let's face it. We got one reputation to lay down or to play down and one to build up. That's a juggling act. If we don't recognize and realize that we have to like people, if you don't like people, get out of the business. Let me tell you, this is a people's business. We don't sell cars, we sell people. The end result of a sale is the relationship between people. And if you don't like people, I'd suggest you go buy a truck and haul dynamite. Nobody's going to bother you then. You can stay away from people. But otherwise, I feel that you've got to exercise this empathy to the needs of the customer.
Number 2. The salesperson maintains professional appearance and behavior at all times.
We find that 95% of the time, the salesperson says, "May I help you?" Or in where I come from, redneck land in Alabama, they say, "Can I help you?" That is what a clerk says, and that is not professional.
That's right.
I was shopping a dealership in San Francisco a number of years ago, and I had a nice-looking, tall young man come up to me. He says, "May I help you?" I said, "What's the matter? Am I bleeding?" He said, "No, you make another smart remark like that and you're liable to be."
Clean nails. I've seen salespeople look like they've been working on cars all night, sitting there trying to close a sale. Another one is jewelry. I happen to have some on today that, very fortunately, I earned this through selling. But when I'm selling on the showroom floor, normally I take the jewelry off, especially if it's a fancy or what we refer to as Texas Timex or
I
Rolex.
resent that. I never had anybody walk in the door and say, "Hey, I'm here, give me a bad deal." So I know that I'm going to have to approach this in a professional manner, slowly, poise, and watch your speed of speech. Don't come on, "Welcome, come right in here. How you doing, old friend?" You know, don't do that, all that kind of business. That scares the pants off of people. Don't do that. Come in a nice, friendly way. You know, it would scare me to death if I'd go in a doctor's office and he'd walk out with blood all over his coat and saying, "Hey, are you next?" I'd say, "No." You know, I'd want to get out of there.
Number 3, the salesperson uses a system for prospecting follow-up approved by the dealership.
Don't sit there wishing and waiting. You know, God furnishes fish, but we have to furnish bait. Direct mail is good as a door opener. But if it didn't follow it up, it's like pep without purpose. It's piffle.
A salesperson who waits on floor traffic becomes a slave to the front door. The front door controls his income. The front door will never control Jackie Cooper's income.
Yes, first of all, realize you have an investment. The next thing, be persistent, be determined. Stay with them till they buy or die.
Number 4, the salesperson knows the inventory on hand and on order.
I want you to recognize that you must try to sell out of stock first, because a customer will shop for 6 weeks, make a decision in 6 minutes, and want the delivery in 6 seconds.
And I've always found also, if you just walk them out among the inventory, and you don't have to lie to them anything. You say, I want a red one. You walk out there, say, "Well, let's go out and see if we can find one." You know, I say, "I don't see it. I guess somebody sold it yesterday. But how about this white one over here? We'll hang a red light over it." No, don't say that.
But I might even begin to creep into the fear close a little by pointing out, by buying today, we know what the value of your trade-in. We know also that there could be price increases. You could bring up all these factors, kind of back the hearse up in the front living room, so to speak, when you buy insurance.
Number 5, the salesperson always uses the systematic selling process approved by the dealership.
This person that comes in and says, "I'm double parked, and the motor's running, and the meter maid's a half a block down the street, and I'm on a 15-minute lunch break. How much would it take to trade cars?"
I feel if you ask a prospect what he wants for his car, I think he's been taught at the buyer school, as I call it. They most all go to a buyer school before they come see us. They're taught at the buyer school before they can graduate. They got to have the 5 answers to the salesperson that asked, "What do you want for your car?" And this is normally what you hear. "All I can get." You tell me, you're the salesman. I've seen my car in the paper for $59.95. Now, of course, I use a little humor. Was that in the funnies or the classified ad, sir? Where'd you see that? And while he's talking, listen. 2 ears, 1 mouth. I think God was trying to tell us something to salespeople.
A lot of salesmen exude too much sympathy for the buyer. Now, I want to be empathic with the customer, but if you get too sympathetic with the customer, they'll eat your lunch.
One person says, "Can I have a demo ride?" And the salesperson says, "Do I look like a taxi driver?" Another one says, "I'd like a demo ride," and the salesperson waiting on them said, "Well, if you promise to buy the car today, I'll give you a demo ride."
No is never no forever. No is never no forever. So if he says no to me, and he's established that base, no, 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 by TOing that deal, or what I refer to as a turnover, the no to me may not be no to someone else.
Number 6, The salesperson ensures that the customer gets accurate information regarding available leasing, financing, service contracts, and insurance plans according to the dealership policy.
And I want to give one other word of advice to that young salesman. If you have a finance rate book in your desk, destroy it along with your used car guidebook. And put your little handheld calculator in the desk and close it up. If he says, what rate of interest that is, don't try to figure it out. Just say, no, I really don't know. You know, there's profit in ignorance.
Definitely.
There's profit in ignorance. The trouble, you have more salesmen. Mr. Salesman, as you watch and you're trained in this method, let me just give you a word of advice from an old pro. You humbleness and humility. When you don't know, you don't know. Don't try to come up with something. Don't try to hedge. Don't lie. Don't cheat. Don't steal. Tell the customer you don't know. But by all things, don't lock out your other profit centers. But if you try to give somebody an answer and they catch you in one little gray area of doubt or fear, you've just exploded your profile with them and your image, and you're going to lose control of the sale altogether. They won't believe anything that you tell them.
Number 7, the salesperson follows the Silver Medallion new vehicle inspection and delivery processes.
A delivery, you say hello and not goodbye. I would even consider making another demonstration ride.
Number 8, the salesperson introduces the customer to the dealership service department.
Before the person leaves your dealership with the new product, you should take them to the service department and introduce them to the service manager or to a service advisor, get their calling card, and ask that if you have any problems, I'll be delighted to help you, but ask that you call this gentleman here.
Number 9, the salesperson follows up with the customer after delivery.
We keep hearing so much about, I wish we had an annuity. I wish we had a retirement in the automobile business. You got it. It's called owners. And it starts, as just as Clint said, with hello, you are my retirement.
The important thing of the proper delivery and follow-up after the sale is that each new owner has 4 areas of people they influence. They influence people on their job they work with. They influence their social friends. They influence their neighbors. And they influence their relatives.
Number 10, the salesperson uses available training from Chevrolet, General Motors, and other sources to expand and update product knowledge and selling competence.
Confidence, there's no substitute for it. And the only way I know to remove fear, and that is the major cause of failure in the automobile business as a retail salesperson, fear of rejection, fear you won't have the answer. The best way I know to remove fear is with luck, L-U-C-K. If you don't think successful people are lucky, ask any failure. He'll tell you. He's just lucky. Luck is identified labor under correct knowledge. Now, if you labor under correct knowledge, you've got confidence.
Why? I know my material, I know my product better than anybody else. And that's the way a salesman should look at it. When he takes the assumption that he's learned all he knows about this business and all he needs to know about his product, he's dead. He's got this disease, hardening of the attitudes, and that'll kill him.
But practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect.
He's an All-American not because he never gets knocked down. He's an All-American because he won't stay down. You knock him down, he bounces up off the ground, takes the shortest route to the ball carrier, and arrives there in a bad mood. That's why he's an All-American.
This is the final unit of the Chevrolet Performance System Selling Skills Library, the most comprehensive training package ever put together for retail car and truck salespeople. The preceding training units have, we hope, effectively provided a framework to help you strengthen your professional sales approach. 18 individual training modules that now put in your hands the sales techniques and methods the professionals use to help you sharpen your selling skills and make you more money. Every module was based on solid research findings and the practical experience of the very best retail automotive sales consultants in the country today, the best of the best. Clint McGhee, Jackie Cooper, Tex Pritchard, Joe McGuire. Men who have spent their lives selling cars and trucks and teaching others how to do it professionally. Now, it's up to you to take the tools and techniques offered here, adapt them to your own particular selling style and that of your dealership, then practice them. Put them to work, practice some more, and keep practicing as you work to maintain your professional skills at the highest level. But before we officially conclude, there's one final subject we'd like to address: maintaining self-motivation. Unlike the many skills covered in the library, maintaining self-motivation is a subject that combines elements of personal development with the most intangible quality of all: attitude. Of course, there are steps you can take to motivate yourself, such as setting goals and putting together long and short-term action plans. But to perform day in and out as a selling professional takes more than goals. It takes positive reinforcement of your basic attitude toward the business and yourself. Self-motivation is the force behind the action. It's the state of mind you need to develop and set meaningful goals, both professionally and personally, and then to do what it takes to achieve those goals. In a profession involving products as complex as cars and trucks, and buyers with different and distinct personalities and transportation needs, this is no easy task. In recent years, one of the best presentations to help Chevrolet salespeople meet this challenge was delivered by Lou Holtz, then coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks, and now with the Minnesota Gophers. I think you'll find, as I did, that from his football coaching perspective, Lou Holtz touches on many of the same themes that we have heard from our best of the best consultants. Themes like self-image, dedication, discipline, refusal to stay down after defeat, refusal to accept second place in any endeavor, but always striving to be the best, and above all, be a professional. Lou Holtz has inspired many people, not only his football players, but countless salespeople that he has talked to, encouraging them to find the strength within themselves to achieve their full potential. It's a presentation we're sure you'll want to look at again many times in the future. So here's Lou Holtz.
A guy introduced me one time. He said, "I want to introduce Lou Holtz, the greatest coach in the country." He said, "Now, if you go in the city, you can find a lot of them better than he is, but if you stay in the country, he's not a bad football coach." I really am happy to be here, and I realize that 10% of you aren't going to remember 10% of what I said 10 minutes after I said it. But I do hope for the next few minutes I can share some thoughts and ideas with you. You're probably sitting there right now saying, "What in the world do I have in common with Lou Holtz, the football coach?" Well, we really have an awful lot in common. First thing we have in common is competition. I'm in a very competitive business, and you are as well. I refuse to pick up those football magazines anymore and read about our competition. I read where SMU is going to win the national championship, Texas is going to be great, Houston's going to have an outstanding team, and A&M is going to go out this summer and look for UFOs. and you sit there and you say, how can we win against all them? And you have a tendency to avoid your own business worrying about other people. The only people that we're in competition with is ourselves, and whether we're going to be successful or not depends upon what we do and how we manage our own affairs. 2 years ago, we played Alabama for the national championship. And we played a great game, but Alabama played a better game. And after the game, I walked across the field and I shook Bear Bryant's hand. I said, "Congratulations, Coach, your team played a great game." He looked at me and he said, "Lou, that's the best game we played in 5 years." I said, "Gee, I'm really glad I had a chance to see it. You know, you don't get that opportunity but once every 5 years." But we worry sometimes and we say, "Well, we can't do something because they're too good." I was at William Mary. We used to go and play the Naval Academy every year. We could never beat the Naval Academy. Our players didn't believe they could beat them. And if you've ever been in Victory Stadium, it's a beautiful stadium, a double-deck stadium, and on the balcony of the second tier, they had the names Iwo Jima, Guadalcanal, Saipan, Bataan, Corregidor. And our players said, "Coach, we can't beat them." I said, "Why not?" He said, "Look at the schedule they played." And I am convinced, men, in competition, we control our own future. The other thing we have in common is we got to be self-starters. There isn't a man or woman in this room that doesn't get discouraged from time to time, including myself. It's not a disgrace to become discouraged, but we've got to get up off the ground because it is a disgrace to stay there. We have an All-American at University of Arkansas by the name of Billy Ray Smith, finest football player I've ever been around. But he's an All-American not because he never gets knocked down. He's an All-American because he won't stay down. You knock him down, he bounces up off the ground, takes the shortest route to the ball carrier, and arrives there in a bad mood. That's why he's an All-American. But if you're going to wait for somebody to wind you up, crank you up in the morning, you know as well as I do that isn't going to happen. People are going to look to us to see what our response is. They're going to look to us for our enthusiasm making things happen. You have to make things happen in the next 82 days. You're involved in a contest, and I'm not going to ask you how many of you want to win. I don't ask that of our athletes. The question I want to ask of you, can you live with losing? Can you live with failure? Nobody in this world wants to go second class. Nobody wants to be a second-rate individual. But the question is whether you can live with failure. If you can't live with failure, you're going to find a way to be successful in any endeavor you undertake. They asked John F. Kennedy in 1960 if he would accept the vice presidency of the United States because he was young and he was a Catholic. He said, no. Once you accept second place when first is available, you have a tendency to do that the rest of your life. That's why I never want to have our athletes ever accept second place. You know, in 1963, I really didn't have a philosophy of life. I was sort of just drifting around, and if you take a good look at me, you'll notice I stand 5'10", weigh 152 pounds, wear glasses, speak with a lisp, have a physique that appears like I've been inflicted with beriberi and scurvy most of my life. I didn't have an awful lot of talent then. I don't have an awful lot now, but my life was just sort of wandering. And I was coaching at College William Mary, which was a 9-month-a-year job, which meant 3 months out of the year I had to get a job in order to support my family. The job I got in 1963 was selling cemetery plots. And when I came home, we have 4 children. They're all boys but 2, and I'm real proud of that fact also. And I said to my wife, I said, honey, I've got a job. She said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to sell cemetery plots. And boy, she was very negative. She said, you won't sell anything. So I made up my mind I was going to prove her wrong. That summer, I sold our car, our stereo, our TV. I sold everything we've owned, but I've yet to sell a single cemetery plot. I didn't know anything about selling or anything else. They sent me to a 2-day seminar. The first day, a guy got up and said some things. I didn't learn anything. The second day, a guy got up and said, I have a simple philosophy of life. I don't mind telling you that got my attention because I have to keep things simple. He said, you can get anything in this world you want if you help enough people get what they want. No matter what you want, you'll be able to get it if you help other people get what they want. You want that trip to Hawaii, to London, whatever it is, then you help Chevrolet get what they want because you have a great product. You have to believe in that product, and I happen to drive a Chevrolet by choice. I have a citation because it answers the needs that I want out of a car. You're not selling automobiles. You're not selling anything in this world. There's nobody that sells anything. You're answering the needs of other people. You're helping other people solve a problem. And whether we're talking about hailing our salespeople, whether we're talking about selling automobiles, whether we're talking about coaching football, we are trying to help other people get what they want. Because if we help them get what they want, we in turn will get anything in this world we want. I've tried to follow that philosophy for the last 18 years, and it has never failed me unless I have abused that philosophy and not adhered to it 100%. There's not a business in operation today that isn't in it to help other people, with the possible exception of the airlines that I fly regularly. I went up to the lady, I said, I'd like this bag to go to New York, that one to Los Angeles, and this bag to Chicago. And she said, oh, we can't do that. I said, you did it last week when I flew your airline. But when you analyze it and look at it in that terms, and then you start asking yourself constantly, what do they want, and how can I help them get it? And you'll be able to get anything you want, and whatever you want constitutes a goal. I am a great believer in goal setting. I think it's a necessity to be involved in goal setting. Not to know where you want to go is just as difficult as to come back from a place you've never been. You've got to know where you want to go. You have to set a goal, write it down, and believe it. I am a firm believer of this, that goals cure boredom in life. If you're bored with life, you just haven't set your goals high enough. Success is obtained by uncommon people. It's obtained by uncommon people who are willing to do the things that a common person won't do, because a common person is basically lazy. And if you have that goal, then that causes you to do the things you don't normally want to do. But the ability to achieve a goal is the ability to say no to things that you know you should not be doing. The things that you have a tendency to put off. You've got to make action, and you've got to do it now. Our goal at the University of Arkansas is to win the national championship this year. When our athletes come back 15 years from now, they'll tell a lot of crazy, insane stories about Lou Holtz. The one thing I never want an athlete to say is, if Coach Holtz only believed in us, if he only knew how good we wanted to be or what price we're willing to pay, we could have been great. The biggest mistake we make is to undersell ourselves and say, I can't do this, or I can't do that, or it's too tough, or it's too difficult. The world is filled with people that aren't willing to pay the price from time to time. Now, why don't so many people reach their goals when they have good intentions when they set them? Primarily because not enough of us believe in ourselves. 95% of the people in this audience and in this world do not believe they have as much talent or ability as other people have. What is really important is whether you're honest with yourself and you ask this simple question: am I doing the very best I can as a person, as a man? And if we'll really be honest with myself included, we're proud of what we've done because you've done a fine job under adverse conditions. But we'll both acknowledge that we can do a better job. Because when you do a better job is when you like yourself. You like yourself best when you put in a hard day work, you made the tough decision, you went the extra mile. That's when you feel good about yourself when you come home at night. You don't feel good about yourself when you cut corners, when you dodge different things, when you didn't do the things you should have known you've done. Why don't you like yourself and why don't you feel good? It's because you have a poor self-image, because you know you're not doing the very best you possibly can at all times and in all ways. But so many times we let what we don't have keep us from using what we do have. So you can do anything in this world you want if you're willing to pay the price. They asked H.L. Hunt once, they said, why are you successful? He said, number one, I decide what I want. Number two, I decide what price I'm willing to pay. And you're going to have to pay a price because there is no such thing as a free lunch. And to be successful, you've got to be gone from home a great deal. You have to work odd hours. You have to get out, you have to meet people, you have to do an awful lot of different things, and your family isn't going to understand that any more than mine did. They want to know why I wasn't home every night, why we didn't belong to the country club or the PTA meetings and things like this. So I took my family across the other side of the railroad tracks to the worst section of Fayetteville you could find. I stopped the car and explained to my family I could be home every night if that's what they wanted. If I was going to be home every night, we were going to move in that neighborhood. They wouldn't have a new car, new dress, new ball glove, but I'd be home every night if that's what was important to them. Well, to make a long story short, if I'm home 2 nights in a row, they look at me a little funny and say, you sure you don't need to be somewhere, Dad? We sure don't want you abusing that job, see? They wanted me home every night until they understood why I couldn't be home every night. Because there is no such thing as a free lunch. It happens to us all at different times. But I am a great believer in having a checklist of going over different things to make sure that we are going to be successful in the future. And I just take the word failure, and the first thing I look at is fundamentals. I try to do this once a month. And I sit down and I look, am I adhering our football team and our operation on basic fundamentals? I don't know what fundamentals of your business are, but I know you have them, and I know it's important. We have a tendency to get away from fundamentals. Like the guy walked in that pet store and he said, I want to buy a bird. And he said, how much that bird? And the guy said, that bird's $2.95. He said, well, that bird looks just like those other ones, but it's there by itself. Why is that? The guy said, that bird cost $550. The guy said, gee, that's a lot of money, but I'd love to have that bird, but why does it cost so much? He said, that bird talks and sings. He bought the bird, came in the next day, said, I paid $550 for that bird and it don't talk or sing. Guy said, what did it do this morning when it rang the little bell? Guy said, what bell? Guy said, you don't mean tell me you paid $550 for a bird and you didn't buy the bell where it can get the little tune? He said, no, I didn't know I needed a bell. Guy said, yeah, and it's only $33. Guy bought the bell, came in the next day, said, I paid $550 for that bird, don't talk or sing, and it rang the doggone bell. Guy said, I can't understand it. I got the same bird. He said, my bird got up this morning, rang a little bell, ran up and down that ladder. And the guy said, what ladder? I said, don't tell me you didn't buy a ladder. This goes on for 4 different days. The guy has $823 invested in that bird. He comes in the 5th day and he said, the bird died. Said, the bird died, but he said, he finally talked to me. Said, that little bird got up this morning, rang that little bell, ran up and down that ladder, swung on that little swing, looked in that mirror. And just before he died, he looked over at me and said, didn't he sell you any bird seed? I tell you that, not just as a joke, but don't ever forget that fundamentals are important to being successful. And the tougher situation you get, the more we have to adhere to fundamentals. You've got to be agreeable with people. It's easy to be argumentative with people, especially when you don't feel well. But you can never win if you get in an argument and become disagreeable with people. And we need to be involved. We need to be committed. I don't want the kamikaze pilot that flew 54 different missions. Came in and said, I couldn't find anything, but I'll try again tomorrow. A commitment isn't I'm going to try. A commitment is I'll get it done. I make a commitment once a year what I'm going to do with my life. Because I don't want to have to get up every day and say, is this what I want to do? I don't want our players to decide they don't want to play when Texas has the ball on our 3-yard line. We're the only school in the Southwest Conference that isn't from the state of Texas. And yet we get to play all our games with neutral officials from the state of Texas. And that can drive you berserk, but I believe is coaches coach, players play, and administrators administrate, and there isn't any overlap. But you've got to be committed to whatever you're going to do, that regardless of what goes against us, we're going to find a way to get it done. I signed a 5-year contract with the New York Jets, stayed 8 months and left. Now, I turned that job down 3 different times. When I finally accepted, I said, I'm not sure this is what I want to do, but let's see what it's like. If it doesn't work out, we can always come back to intercollegiate athletics. Then every time one little thing went wrong, I would say, I didn't think this is what I want to do. I didn't think it would work. And I want to tell you, I've had to live with that for the last 6 years. Because I did something without a commitment, but I learned a lesson. Never again. Why get in the middle of a project or a job and evaluate whether that's what I want to do or not? I always say this, I'm not what I ought to be. I'm not what I'm going to be, and I'm not what I can be. But thank God I'm not what I used to be, because as poor as I am today, I think I've improved my life over the past couple of years, but it can only happen when you try to improve it. And then you need to be you. You just can't be anybody else, but be yourself. You need to keep improving yourself, but don't try to impersonate anybody else, and you need to relax. You need to give everything you can to your job, but I try to find a way to relax, although it's not very much. I don't jog. I loved Abe Lemon's comment. They said, do you jog? He said, no, I want to be sick when I die. I don't jog. I love to do different things. But whatever you're going to do, you've got to be able to relax at all times. But the most important thing in the word failure on the checklist is enthusiasm. And ladies and gentlemen, you're either going to be enthusiastic or you're going to be filled with self-pity. You are not going to have both. Enthusiasm will turn fatigue into energy. It'll turn average into greatness. And self-pity will destroy any potential you have. I say you want to feel sorry for somebody, feel sorry for the blind man being led down the street by a seeing-eye dog. Blind man put all the faith and confidence he had in that dog, and they came to the corner of a busy intersection. The dog crossed against the light. Blind man didn't know what else to do, so he followed the dog across. As I said, it was a busy intersection. Cars swerved, avoided, brakes squealed, and horns honked. But miraculously, the blind man and the dog made it across the street unharmed. Blind man got on the other side of the street, reached in his pocket, and pulled out a dog biscuit, give it to his dog. Then some bystander watched the whole thing transpire. He went and ran up the blind man. He said, sir, that dog crossed against the light and almost got you killed. Last thing you want to do is give him a dog biscuit to reward him. Blind man smiled and said, I know he did, sir. He said, you see, I'm giving him a dog biscuit so I can find out where his mouth is. Going to kick him right in the tail. Well, I know you got to get rid of self-pity time after time, and you're going to have it in your company. And I'll tell you this, that as I said before, I'm a great believer in Chevrolet and the great product that you produce. But you can't sell anything without being enthusiastic, because the product alone won't do it. It starts with you. I'd basically like to close with this. People are going to ask 3 key questions about you. Your wife are going to ask the same question. The salesman under you are going to ask them. The customers are going to ask them. Everybody's going to ask these same 3 questions. And you better make sure they can say yes to all 3 questions. Because if you can say yes, you go home and you pack your bags, because you're going to be successful in this contest. First question they ask, can I trust you? Can I trust you? Same question our athletes ask about me. Same questions you ask about other people above you. Can I trust you? The second question they ask, do you know what you're talking about? People come in and they ask about an automobile. They want to make sure that you know what you're talking about. Same thing our athletes want to know what I'm talking about. When I talk about football or about life. And the third question is really the key question. Do you care about me personally? That's the question they're going to ask. Now, if they can answer yes to you, can they trust you? If they believe you, they know what you're talking about. But the key one is, do you care about me? As I said, my philosophy is you can get anything in this world you want if you help enough people get what they want. You can't help people get what they want if you don't care about them personally. Everybody talks to me about communication. Communication is important with everybody. All communication is liking somebody enough to give them your time and attention to listen to them. Remember that the Lord gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, because you should listen twice as much as you speak. But to give the time to listen to them and realize that everybody is important, because what do people want? People want to feel important. And you make people feel important when you give them your time, when you listen to them. We talk about teamwork. Teamwork is nothing more than liking other people. Having a group of people getting together that care about one another, and you will start the teamwork and the communication. It isn't going to start down there and filter up to you, but I'll promise you this. If you find ways to like people, there isn't any way in this world you won't have tremendous teamwork. Let Chevrolet know how much you appreciate them. Let the people you work with, the salesman, the secretary, make other people feel better for having been around you. Let them know that you really care about them personally.